Alright, I'm fixing to share with y'all tapping trees. Fixing to tap a black walnut tree for cooking syrup, walnut syrup. Also be tapping some sugar maple trees for maple syrup. They're almost identical in flavor. Walnut syrup is quite a bit more expensive, but here we go. So right here we have the American black walnut tree. And you can see, you can tell, you know, how the bark looks, and you just, there's a million videos out there on how to identify a black walnut tree. But what we're going to do is tap bottom down here. We're going to drill into the tree here. And, black walnut syrup is like I said earlier, it's more expensive than maple syrup. Some people say that it's better. I find them to be about the same. We're going to be tapping maple trees too. We got sugar maple up here in the mountains, and they make good, really good syrup. Weather's getting right. It's going to warm up a little too much this week for optimal, but get back cool again. What you need is for your nighttime temperatures to be at or below freezing, daytime temperatures above for the south flow. Let's see what we can do. Okay, here's what we've got. We've got these taps, spiles they call them. You drive this into the tree. And I buy all this on Amazon, or you can make stuff yourself, but this is the most effective. You want your tap to be tapered like this so that it seals the hole and lets the sap come down. These are special bits that I ordered from Vermont. Any bit will work. These are just special, and they're made for, especially for tapping trees. Supposed to be healthier for the tree. And so let's see what we got. Okay, here's the ideal situation. You want to tap the tree. You can see where last year's tap was. You want to tap the tree above a root and look up there and see that branch hanging over. So that's like a main artery, and preferably on the south side, south or east side, toward the sun. You don't want to go any deeper than about 2 inches into the tree. So let's drill right here. Now, one thing I'll try to do, kind of trim that bark down a little bit. Hudson's Bay axe. If you don't have one, you're behind. Get you one. Trim the bark down a little bit and drill in there. Now that we got the hole drilled, stick the tap in there. You should start seeing sap flow. You can see that starting to drip. And I run this hose, got me a bucket, drilled a hole in the side of the bucket, food grade bucket. It's dripping slow because the weather's not optimal. We need colder temperatures at night. Anyway. All right, now we got that attached and it's starting to drip into this bucket. And it's dripping real slow because the weather's not right. And then we're gonna put the lid on, put a rock on top, come back and check it.
You seen it?
So there we got 2 walnut trees tapped right here at the house. We're going to see how they do. I'm fixing to head off back down the holler and start tapping some sugar maple for maple syrup. I'm going to separate the walnut because it's a little richer, and if I bought it, it'd be a lot more expensive. Anyway, if you got American black walnut and you're in an area where temperatures are cold at night and a little warmer during the day, you can get syrup from. All right, tapping this other one behind the house. You see that sap dripping? That's an American black walnut. Now, People will say, well, Chad, doesn't walnut have some toxicity properties to it? I say do tomatoes. But the sap from the walnut tree is really nutritious, just like maple. And you just cook it down until you get the syrup. But we'll be showing how to do that later. One other thing I wanted to point out, once you drill, you don't want to drill your hole more than 2 inches into the tree, because you don't want to get into the wood. But after you drill your hole, you just kind of clean it out a little bit before you put your tap in there. Make everything flow well. And you just stick that tap in there like that, and just give it a little tap, tap, tap. Hear that different sound? That's when it seats. That's when you're there. So now I got them running in the bucket. I put the lid on it, not too heavy, and I just look around and find me a rock. Put it on there to kind of weigh it down, shim it up on this side with a rock. If you're in an area where there's no rocks, you're probably not going to be making syrup. Now this tree we got tapped here is a sugar maple. And, of course, in the spring, summer, you can tell by the leaves that it's a sugar maple. But this time of year, you can tell that it's got kind of a scaly bark on it like this. And then you can see where it's black, where the sap's been running. And you can see these little holes all in it where these sap suckers have been tapping into it. And there are several sugar maples up through this hollow. You can usually find them kind of all together. But everything's flowing real slow because it's warmed up more than it should this time of year. You can see I'd flagged that one back in the summer. But I'll be tapping. There's 4 more there to tap. 5, 6, 7. There's a few right in here, and then, but this same thing, the sugar maple. Now you can tap any maple tree. Syrup can be made from any maple tree, red maple, sugar maple. It's just that the sugar maple has a higher sugar content. So when you're cooking it down, it doesn't take near as much sap. But I mean, if you're cooking in an iron pot over a wood fire, you know, it's just throw a few more sticks on the fire and make some more coffee and just keep waiting. So any maple you can tap, like a red maple. You can also tap sycamore trees, box elder. They all make syrup comparable to maple syrup. So you just look around. I mean, I can show you how to identify them. There's any number of videos about identifying trees and information out there. But anyway, even down home, the red maple that I've seen from back in Louisiana, the sugar maple that I've seen, 1 or 2 that my parents planted, they were sapping out. Just takes temperatures below freezing at night, which optimal, below freezing at night and above freezing during the day. With those temperatures, if you've got American black walnut or maple or anything on your property, I think regardless of where you live, you're going to get, they're going to flow sap. And then you can, so it's about a 40-to-1 ratio. 40 gallons of sap will cook down to 1 gallon of syrup. Now you think, okay, well that's a huge amount. Well, I've seen like one of these trees like this last year produce 2 gallons per run. Okay, and you tap 20 trees like that, you can cook off enough in a day or 2 to make a gallon of syrup. Well, you start figuring up, you know, a gallon of syrup in pints, and maple, like walnut, for instance, is $40 a pint. It don't take long to see that you're coming out way ahead doing it yourself. Anyway, that's just a little prelude to syrup making here in the Ozarks. One more thing I wanted to show. And I just learned this a couple of years ago. Logan Monk, you were instrumental in this, but just growing on this plant right, this branch right here fell out of this tree. This is called usnea, and it has the highest form of antibiotic properties that you can find in nature. I'm fixing to go you can make a poultice out of it, or make a tincture out of it, and it's comparable to doxycycline. There's ways to stretch it, pull it apart to see if it's what I'm telling you it is. But what you can do is just Google it and look it up, usnea or old man's beard, and see all the different uses for that. But making a natural antibiotic, which you may need sometime. Anyway, there it is. That's how it grows on stuff. But you can pull it. I can't hold it the phone to do this too. But when you pull it apart, it has this little white looking cord in the core of it. That's what it is. So anyway, something good to know. See that sap running. The sun hits it on the side of the ridge, and that's going to be awful. One other thing I wanted to share that's totally unrelated to maple syrup or anything like that, but is water catchment. So how important is water? So Kimberly and I found this guy that helped us put the trail down here for us with the dozer, scratched the surface and seen where there was water, running through the ground surface. There's a natural spring in the ground. Of course, it's running more right now because of the recent weather, but it never stops. It never goes dry. So we dug down. You can see where it's coming out over here, out of the ground. But we wanted it to where we could fix pipe to it if we ever needed to, catch the water, fill up something. So we dug into the hillside and built this stone wall. She and I backfilled it with gravel. Those pipes have like a T in the back side of them. The caps on either end with holes drilled in them and covered in gravel to filter it. So the water filters through there and runs through these pipes. And then we got clean out there we can open up and drain the bottom of it. The stone wall holds it back and really directs the flow to where we want it to be. So having, if you live out in the country and anywhere, wherever you live, and you got flowing water from somewhere, wouldn't be a bad idea to develop you a spring with it like this and catch it so that you can stick something on there to, fill up. Water goes out, well goes out, water system has interruptions or whatever, you can plug onto that and fill up, tubs and water tanks, storage tanks, or whatever, because it's just coming out of the ground. It's free. It's just there's something else to ponder.